Member for Drysdale.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And it seems, Madam Speaker, the opposition leader is still living in La La Land. And it's a shame that we can't all be living in La La Land and we are stuck here in reality. And the reality of crime that still plagues throughout the Northern Territory, Madam Speaker, as a result of 8 years of failed government. As we were listening, I took note of the Deputy Opposition Leader jumping in on the member of Karama. I wonder, would that member also defend the youth criminals who threw a rock through a bus on Victoria Drive last Tuesday night, in which about 20 people were in that bus as the rock went through? And feel free to interject. Opposition Deputy Leader, would you defend that?
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Please take your seat, member for Blaine. What's your Drysdale? Sorry, what's your point of order?
Thank you. I believe the member needs to put his commentary through the chair. Thank you, and not direct it.
Could you speak through me?
Yes, absolutely. Madam Speaker, I wonder if the Deputy Leader of the Opposition would defend the youth criminals who threw a rock through a loaded bus in Grey last Tuesday night. Does he believe they should not be charged? I await an interjection. Still waiting, Madam Speaker.
Silence, please. Come on.
The silence is deafening, Madam Speaker. It seems he's very unsure on how to answer that question, but we'll keep moving on. So, Madam Speaker, I'm glad that the hypocrisy that comes from the Leader of the Opposition. She talks about her desire to reduce crime, that everyone has a right to feel safe. And absolutely they do. So thank you for supporting the CLP's position. You talk of human rights as well in your speech. What about the human rights of the thousands of Northern Territorians who feel unsafe living in the Territory? You listed organisations. I do not care for these organisations, Madam Speaker. I am here to represent the people of Drysdale. That is who I care about representing, and they have given me a very clear mandate on how they wish to be represented in this chamber, and they want safety, Madam Speaker. I enjoyed hearing, Madam Speaker, from the Leader of the Opposition all the sweeping reforms they did to reduce youth crime, which is interesting considering the federal member for Solomon, also a Labor member, recently said on radio that the Labor NT government failed to implement the programs necessary when raising the age. Now that is interesting. The federal Labor member himself said they failed to implement strategies when raising the age. So we have absolute failures, and we are left to clean it up, and we will, Madam Speaker. We'll clean it up, not for the organisations, not for all the loud voices that seem to all know how to fix it. And we've been pursuing that for years. And all you have to do is come into Drysdale and you will see the fruit of that tree. And it is rotten, Madam Speaker. It is rotten. And so, Madam Speaker, I am proud to say that we have just started in our reforms. We are just warming up, Madam Speaker, when it comes to crime in the Northern Territory. And so, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, strap in, because it's going to get a lot harder for you over the next 4 years, and I look forward to you defending more criminals as we sit here and clean up the Northern Territory. So far in my electorate, Madam Speaker, the CLP has separated housing from Territory families. This is going to go a long way to helping enforce compliance with tenancies throughout the electorate. This will help separate territory families, which can focus on the protection of families and children, and territory housing can stop the coddling culture that has existed and can move to enforcing tenancies. I'd like to thank the Minister for Housing as well for visiting the electorate of Drysdale and seeing firsthand the absolute mess that Labor left the electorate in, including some of the high-density housing, which is a root cause of crime, especially coming out of my community of Grey. We're supporting police, which is a nice change for them. They have a government for the first time in 8 years that actually supports them. We support our frontline members, Madam Speaker. By doing this too, we are now information sharing because constituents are coming to my office. I have already, in the time we've been in office, hundreds of reports from constituents that they are victims of crime. And we are feeding that information to Palmerston Police, which is strengthening law enforcement in the area. I have a hotspot designation in my electorate, Madam Speaker, and this has seen increased police presence, public housing safety officers, youth workers from territory families and securities operating continuously, and we will continue that operation, Madam Speaker. We have a corrections plan which will help free up the watch house, which means police can start arresting. They can start arresting for our new laws like nuisance public drinking, something, again, the Leader of the Opposition and the Deputy Leader are opposed to. I find it crazy to think they would oppose public drinking laws, that you can just drink in a park, increasing the rubbish that builds up. And on the rubbish, I'd like to thank the Corrections Minister, for we will soon have prisoners cleaning up the streets of Drysdale from the illegal drinking and littering that goes on. This will be welcomed, Madam Speaker. We've increased CCTV operations throughout the area, and I've met with the Mayor, Madam Speaker, of Palmerston Council, and we are discussing problem laneways, and she is very happy to hear that we will be getting resources, Madam Speaker, through the Corrections Department to help with the rubbish. We really are only just getting started, Madam Speaker, and to the people of the Northern Territory and to the people of Drysdale, you've seen just the tip of the iceberg in the reforms that are coming your way. This is a new Northern Territory. The ways that Labor and that whole narrative has pushed for so many years, the line in the sand was drawn. The tide has turned. And this truly is a new era of politics in the Northern Territory. So in conclusion, Madam Speaker, I look forward to coming back and as part of this new CLP government pushing further reforms through this Parliament. I look forward to assisting the Chief Minister in her role as Minister for Police, and I know together we have grand and large plans for our police force, and in both of us, they have two people who will have their back the entire way, Madam Speaker. Thank you.